He held my wrists down on the kitchen table while she laughed and cut off my hair. That was the last thing Nadia whispered before the tears stopped coming. The moment had happened just hours before, but the cold drag of scissors through her braids still pulsed behind her eyes like a wound that refused to close. He had dragged her into the living room, the same room where she once folded his laundry and laughed at his jokes, and pinned her down while the other woman, eyes gleaming with victory, carved through every braid she could reach. Nadia's pregnancy made her slow. Her belly tightened with each struggle, but the betrayal cut deeper than any blade. Her husband, Damon, didn't flinch. He didn't look away. He watched as if she were a problem he had been waiting to finally discard. When it was over, the woman dropped the cut braids on the floor like trash. Each one landed with a soft thud that echoed louder than any scream Nadia could have released. She made one phone call. What happened next changed everything. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you completely trusted, if you've ever felt invisible when you needed to be seen most, you need to watch this story to the very end. What her brothers did will leave you speechless, but what she became will stay with you forever. Don't skip ahead, every part matters. Damon rose to his feet, wiping his hands on his jeans as though touching her had contaminated him. "You need to leave," he said, no anger, just cold, flat dismissal. He called her a burden, insisted the baby wasn't his, said she had destroyed his future. Every word was a stone dropped onto her chest. She tried to speak, tried to find the man she married somewhere inside this stranger, but he didn't wait for answers. He shoved her toward the door, her body stumbling against the wall. Then she was outside. The door slammed hard enough to shake the windows, and the rain hit her immediately, soaking through her hospital slippers, drenching her torn clothes. She stood on the empty street, her hand pressing instinctively against her belly, shielding her unborn daughter from the cruelty that had just unfolded. She pulled out her phone with trembling fingers and scrolled her contacts. Blocked, blocked, blocked. One by one, every name returned the same cold wall. Damon had spent months building this cage around her, cutting every wire before she even knew she needed them. She scrolled further, past the blocked names, past the silence, until she found it, Elias, her eldest brother, the one Damon convinced her had given up on her years ago, the one he said would never forgive her for choosing a man over family. Her thumb hovered. What if he doesn't answer? What if this is the final rejection that finishes what Damon started? But she had nothing left to lose, so she typed, her fingers shaking so badly the words came out broken. "Elias, I need help, please." She hit send before fear could stop her. Then she stared at the rain blurring her screen. 1 minute, 2. She told herself he'd moved on. She told herself she deserved the silence. Then her phone buzzed. "Little sister, where are you?" 3 words. Her knees buckled. She sank onto the wet pavement, clutching the phone like it was the only solid thing left in the world. For the first time that night, she let herself cry, not the silent tears she had swallowed in Damon's house, but raw, gasping sobs that tore through her chest. She typed her location with shaking hands. "Maple and 5th. He kicked me out. I have nowhere." The reply came within seconds. "Stay exactly where you are. Do not move. I'm coming now." And then she heard it cutting through the rain, growing louder. The deep, rhythmic thrum of helicopter blades slicing through the night sky. She looked up, rain streaming down her face, and saw lights piercing through the storm. Her heart hammered. She didn't understand what was happening, but she knew one thing with absolute certainty. Her brothers were coming, and when they arrived, everything would change. The helicopter descended, blades whipping the rain into spirals. Through the blur, she saw a figure step out. Elias, tall, steady, his expression carved from stone and fury. Behind him came 2 more, Marcus and Kai. They moved toward her like men with a single purpose, eyes scanning every detail of her broken frame. Elias reached her first. He knelt in the rain without hesitation. "I've got you now," he said, his voice cracking just slightly at the edges. Inside the helicopter, Marcus's hand closed over hers. "You're safe," he said, and the certainty in those 2 words cracked open the first tear she had shed since they arrived. She looked at her reflection in the rain-streaked window. She didn't recognize the woman staring back. Her hair was butchered. Her eyes were hollow. She expected to see judgment on her brothers' faces when she finally looked up. Instead, she saw grief. Elia sat across from her, fists clenched, eyes fixed on her as if she might vanish. Marcus watched carefully, protective. Kai said nothing, but his silence carried the weight of a man cataloging everything, memorizing every injury, preparing for what came next. "He told me you hated me," Nadia whispered. "He said you wanted nothing to do with me." Marcus's jaw tightened. "And you believed him," she looked down at her hands. "He made me believe a lot of things." Kai's voice was calm, edged. "Did he put his hands on you?" She hesitated, then nodded. The brothers exchanged a single glance. In that silent moment, a decision was made. At Elias' estate, doctors were already waiting. The baby's heartbeat was strong, stable. The relief that washed over Nadia nearly knocked her off the examination table. While she rested, her brothers stood in the hallway and quietly dismantled Damon's world. Within 48 hours, they had uncovered everything. Damon had drained Nadia's inheritance, the account her grandmother had left her, nearly $80,000. He had forged her signature on loan documents. He had sold her grandmother's jewelry to fund his mistress Cleo's career, while telling Nadia there was never enough money for her dreams. And the messages between Damon and a friend went back almost a year. A coordinated, calculated plan to isolate her, to make her dependent, controllable, invisible. When Nadia saw the evidence spread across the table, she sat very still for a long moment. "Why?" she finally asked. Elias knelt in front of her, eyes meeting hers directly. "Because men like Damon don't see love as partnership, they see it as ownership. And when you became inconvenient, when the baby complicated his plans, he decided to erase you." She looked at her brothers, at the men who had moved mountains to find her. "What happens now?" she asked. Elias stood, his voice was iron. "Now he pays for every stolen dollar, every forged signature, every lie." Kai's lips curved into a thin, cold smile. "He thought you had no one, he was wrong." Damon's world collapsed faster than he expected. Accounts frozen, business partners severing ties, a criminal investigation expanding with each passing day. Cleo released a statement claiming she knew nothing, then her own messages surfaced, screenshots of her bragging about taking everything from that weak woman. She disappeared from public life entirely. Damon sat in the apartment where he had once felt untouchable, staring at a message from an unknown number. 4 words, "You made a mistake." He had no idea who sent it. He had no idea who he was really fighting. He only knew, finally, that he had miscalculated. He had underestimated the woman he destroyed. He had underestimated the people who loved her. Months later, Nadia stood by the window of a home she had chosen herself, holding her newborn daughter, Luna, against her chest. Sunlight poured across hardwood floors she had picked, walls painted in colors that made her feel free rather than trapped. Her brothers assembled furniture in the next room, arguing good-naturedly over an instruction manual in Swedish, and Nadia smiled at the sound of it. She had built something else too. A foundation, Reclaim, for women escaping financial abuse. Women who had their money stolen, their names forged, their worlds made small by someone who called it love. Within 3 months, she had helped 60 women open their first bank accounts, helped 11 families access emergency housing, given dozens more the legal guidance they never knew existed. Damon accepted a plea deal, 8 years, restitution that would follow him long after his release. Nadia never spoke his name again, not out of fear, but because he had simply become irrelevant to the story she was writing. She pressed her lips to Luna's forehead and made her a promise. "You are going to grow up knowing exactly how much you are worth, and you will never ever settle for anything less." Luna curled her tiny fingers tighter around Nadia's shirt, as if in agreement, as if understanding already. If this story moved you, if you know someone carrying a pain they haven't found the words for yet, share this with them. They need to know they are not alone. They need to know their brothers are still out there. And if you believe every woman deserves to be fought for, hit that subscribe button right now. There is so much more coming, and you won't want to miss what happens next.